You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters, let's talk about the Chicago Bears and the NFL Draft. Because we've got the media now that Justin Fields has been traded to the Steelers. All the attention turns to Caleb Williams and to a lesser extent, or maybe as much, Jayden Daniels. I still think you cannot underestimate that kid ending up as the number one pick in the draft. I just think that there's going to be something the Bears have to consider when you take into account that report came out that Caleb did not want to play for the Bears. Then his camp tried to knock that report down. We remember that? And then just a few days ago, it emerged that behind the scenes, Caleb was still telling people privately he wants to go to the Washington Commanders. His camp wants him to go to the Washington Commanders. He's from there. So Justin Fields gets traded. And you see this right here. I mean, this is NBC Chicago, Sports Chicago. Justin Fields trade, ultimate proof. Bears are making the right decision with Caleb Williams. Oh, they're saying it right here. It's going to happen. The media is trying to will it to be so. General Manager Ryan Poles, the Bears hope for a better return for Fields. There's a portion of the front office that believes Fields and his potential, but Fields never played well enough to force the regime that didn't draft him to pass on potentially a franchise-altering quarterback and stick with him. In trading Fields, the Bears officially cleared the deck for presumptive number one overall pick, Caleb Williams, once the 2024 NFL Draft arrives on April 25th. Hold on. Not so fast. Look at this headline. Bears are keeping their quarterback options open after trading Justin Fields, per report. That's very interesting. Chicago may indeed draft Caleb Williams, but it's not a sure thing. The team's brass is currently in the process of finalizing its evaluations of each of the top quarterback prospects and will make a decision on which one they are taking over the next few weeks, according to ESPN. There's certainly still the possibility of the Bears trading out of the top pick. Wow. While all signs point to them selecting Williams, Chicago will create a contingency plan for the possibility of trading back a pick or two if they determine they will select a quarterback other than Williams, per report. Very much. I brought this up before. If he does not actually truly want to play for the Bears, do you want to draft a guy that's going to be disgruntled walking in the door? All right, just saying. So, really the only team the Bears can probably trade with is the Washington Commanders, who own the number 2 overall pick. And there's been rumors that the Commanders might throw a pretty sweet deal at the Bears. I don't think it's really much compensation to move up one spot, but I haven't looked at that draft chart, that trade compensation chart. But that's only if the Commanders and the Bears want to take separate quarterbacks. Yeah, it would be as simple as they would call Washington and say, hey, do you want to come up and take Caleb Williams before we offer up the number 1 spot to other teams? And they'd be like, hell yeah. And then they could trade up right there. Could be another team that catches their fancy, but likely they would not want to move past 2 because they would want to take somebody like Jayden Daniels, who I'm telling everybody, I think the kid is in play for number 1. I do. And then you got this. And I thought this was rather interesting, but Deion Sanders is coming out saying Chicago and Caleb Williams is not a good fit. And it's for a reason that Deion believes is very important. Of course, he's an NFL Hall of Famer, played forever. And it's something that he's certainly saying he's taking into account with Shedeur when he's coming out in the draft. He doesn't think Caleb fits with the Bears because of the colleges he played at and the environment, literally. Williams has spent the last 2 years at the University of Southern California after spending a season at Oklahoma. The 22-year-old grew up in Washington, D.C., so he's not a total stranger to the Northeast. However, Deion Sanders is concerned Williams will be going from playing the majority of his football in warm weather to potential frigid temperatures. Quote, "Let me tell you something that I have a problem with, and this kid can flat out play, and I think he's one of the best on the board this season for sure. A kid that's coming from California for the last couple of years, right? And went to Oklahoma, that's not terribly cold. Chicago's cold, man," Sanders told Mad Dog Sports Radio via Pro Football Talk. You've got to think about that kind of stuff when you're taking a young man. Like, see, when you take a guy from Ohio State, you bring him to Chicago, okay, I could understand that. But from California to Chicago, not only that, they added, 1 or 2 more games in the NFL, 17 games? Come on, man, you got to factor in that stuff. That stuff matters. And he would go on to talk about, I don't want my kid Shedeur going nowhere cold next year. He grew up in Texas. He played in Jackson. He played in Colorado. But the season's over before it gets cold in Colorado. He said, I'm just thinking way ahead. I don't want that for him. That's interesting. That's interesting. It's something you don't consider a lot, is the weather portion of it. But, if I'm Chicago, my biggest issue is, does he really want to play here? Outside of some of the blatant stuff like, look, you basically just blew the combine completely off. The medical exam stuff really bothers me. The crying in the stands with your mama and all that kind of stuff that several Super Bowl champions have just come right out and slammed him over and said, look, that crying and that carrying on is a beta move. And you got to be an alpha to lead men. Chicago's got to take all of this stuff into account. All the while, you got somebody like Jayden Daniels. By the way, I listened to Greg Cosell's evaluation this morning on Jayden Daniels. He likes Jayden Daniels a lot. And in my opinion, it sounds to me like he likes him more than he likes Caleb Williams. And I find that very interesting when the GOAT of evaluators is talking, and he doesn't do the I like this guy more than this guy kind of thing. That's not his jam. But when he's talking about the evaluation, all right, he did come out and say there were certain things about he said, I don't see generational talent out of Caleb Williams. When he was talking about Jayden Daniels, it sounds like he believes there's a chance he's going to be a better pro. That's something, if I'm the Bears, I'm certainly thinking about with Caleb Williams. So it's not a slam dunk. You saw it. Everybody's doing the Caleb to the Bears slam dunk. Maybe not. They may decide to pivot and go with a different quarterback. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.